and we're rolling that I bought. You want to see it now or later? Or you want to be
Now,
surprised? Yeah. Huh?
now,
Now? Okay.
unreal.
No? No good? No good?
Sure, if that's what
Okay, just
floats
in
your boat,
case.
if
No, I just
that's
want to
what
make
floats your
sure.
boat, we're alive. I'm excited to see how Tomo got.
Dang, I wore the wrong glasses for this here to be on the show because my other glasses don't reflect. It's so glossy.
Interessante. Why am I speaking in multiple languages? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're. Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm not home, so yeah, I got to get used to this. Unless,
A lot going on for us to discuss today. Trump keeps us busy, doesn't he? Wouldn't you agree?
sure, I guess, for the show's purposes.
I would say for the planet's purposes, and especially in America. But that might be just me notating reality, because that is the reality. Well, maybe you think my reality's jilted.
Yes.
Hmm, I see. Yeah, yeah, we're live. All right, thank you. I mean, you don't seem to be too upset about all of the craziness that happens. Yeah, you seem to be quite fine with the insanity that I call Trump.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to stay cool, calm, and collected.
You seem to appreciate the things that he does. I,
Well, some do, sometimes I don't. We just talk about the show. Like today, I reviewed some of the things. I did some research. I took some screenshots on my phone so that way to have it. But some stuff is very interesting that we're going to talk about today. For example, the
oh,
Epstein files. They have until July 7th to unredact everything or explain why they're not.
yeah, but we already know that this was supposed to, the Congress told them to do it 7 months ago, six and a half, somewhere in there. So it's not like they actually care. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless, aren't they?
Well, we shall see.
I'm assuming that that's the case. I'm assuming that that's the case. Do you expect them to actually release the files?
I don't know. There's so many of them. Maybe with AI, they have the capacity to, but who knows?
They're going to hide the files for as long as they can. They're not going to release them. They're going to ignore the court order. I'm sorry, I was just looking into my crystal ball here and making a prediction. For those of you who don't know, I don't really have a crystal ball. I
Thank
use
you.
deductive reasoning, critical thinking, sometimes a little inductive reasoning, and a bunch of common sense to draw logical conclusions. And based on the obvious, the facts, the it's quite obvious they're going to continue to hide the files. But my predictions are so accurate on everything that the Trump administration does that it's almost as if I'm psychic. Hence, crystal ball jokes, because I can see what's going to happen as if I'm actually a psychic because they're so easy to predict. unfortunately. I see people are
Well,
starting to come in.
you forgot to mention unbiased uh critical thinking.
Well,
Unbiased opinions. Unbiased. Use that word, unbiased.
I mean, I could say I'm biased, but the fact that my predictions are like over 90% kind of means I just use critical thinking. I mean, you can't use critical thinking and be biased, then it's not critical thinking, then it's just thinking from inside of a bubble. If you're using critical thinking, then you take all of the facts and then you use pinch of common sense and you look at everything and you can draw. Well, I didn't do my opening yet. I see what you're saying.
Unbiased conclusions.
Oh, I wasn't doing my opening. I was simply explaining
That's what I thought you were
how.
alluding to because you forgot
Oh
some more.
no, I was just. This is how I really think and how I really deduce my conclusions. I use it as my opening, but it's my. This is not just something I do for fun. This is a lifestyle. This is how I work on things. This is how I solve problems. I don't guess. I collect facts. I analyze them from different angles, and I deduce results based on data. So, for instance, well, let's. We got a lot we're going to about talk about, so we're getting ready to dive in, and we can explain it in a moment. I'm sure that the audience is starting to pour in. Thank you guys for coming. We're gonna get ready to get started because we appreciate you and we don't want you to feel left out. I'm just sharing with a few people.
I didn't share you. I'll wait until it breaks 1,000.
At 800, I'm good. I'm glad that you're. I'm good at 100, 200. I'm grateful for everybody that comes in. But since it
Okay.
hit 1,000 now, maybe you want to do it. I don't have to have a certain amount of number. The people that come in for me coming because it's me, not, and they're going to support me, and they'll still be here when the numbers go up. I don't have to do that. To me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I digress.
Okay. I'll share it now if you were so insistent about it.
Nah, don't care one way or the other. Even though I do kind of like your fan base, so I guess I do care because it's a lie. You just made me have to admit that I was lying, Dan.
That's why I want to make sure when people come in, like, oh wow, they got four figures. Oh wow, but yeah, I'll share it right now. So
Well,
I'll put it in
we're
the chat.
at 1280. I mean, once the
Well,
numbers start going,
okay, yeah, we're good
wow.
now. Yeah, that's very good.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We're about to get
Yes,
started
we're going to get
in
started
a
soon.
minute or two because we have quite a bit to cover. As always, the demented Donald Trump that runs this country keeps us in a significant place of, well, I would like to say trouble. It keeps us in trouble. We're going to talk about the trouble that this man keeps us in. And we're going to first, let me tell you a little bit about us, who we are, and how we think, and what makes this the platform, what might make this the platform for you based on reality versus what people want to say. All right, check it. Hello, and welcome to the Think Tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, and just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased, logical conclusions. We here at the Think Tank like to use critical thinking to deduce what's going to occur and try and figure out solutions. But what we do most importantly is we bring perspectives from different thought processes, from different perceptions, from different angles here for you so that you can hear everything and draw your own conclusion. Today, we're here to talk about several different things. We're going to start with the war in Iran. And I take notes throughout the week of everything that's going on, but things change so much because demented Donald can't make his mind up. I am talking about demented Donald Trump, who runs this country, who's currently our president and is making the decisions that makes America so erratic at present. He changes so much that I can't keep up. Before I dive into this, I'm your host, Leonard Sanderson, best-selling author, journalist, and award-winning filmmaker. Dion, you want to introduce yourself so we can get started?
Yes, everybody, and I have a new toy. Hi, everybody. Dun, dun, dun. I'm District Leader Dion Powell of the Bronx Conservative Party, strategist, community consultant here in New York. And as you can see, I'm just trying to make Black America great again here from the capital, Washington, D.C. And guys, keep me in prayer because this Tuesday, digga, 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 I'll be having my first colonoscopy. Her like, gentlemen, get yourself checked. Family, get yourself checked. Colonoscopy. Never get it, gets getting younger. So that's my little plug today for health purposes.
Oh my God. It almost sounds like you believe in medicine. I would never know that you worked for Maha. Wow. So, make
God.
America black again. Does that mean you're finally switching over and you down with us to give it to Trump? Make black America great again? So now you're down to give it to Trump finally? Is that what that hat means?
No, this is actually from a Black conservative organization that I went to a barbecue down here. I don't want to give them a shout out because we don't do that on the think tank because we're trying to support ourselves, not others.
Well, let us start with Iran, which is significant. Everybody, if you don't know, there was a memorandum signed between the United States and Iran. This memorandum of understanding, this MOU, was lopsided. It gave a great deal to Iran, and America got virtually nothing. Many of us considered it a complete surrender on the US's behalf. They got billions of dollars. They got control of the Strait of Hormuz. They got to sell oil in US dollars. They got sanctions lifted for all of the money that's been taken from them for over 40 years, for 4 decades. All of those sanctions were lifted. To put that in perspective, Obama got a deal signed about a decade ago, in a little bit more than a decade ago, and in that deal, he released $1.7 billion in sanctions, and the entire conservative Republican parties went into uproar about $1.7 billion of sanctions, which means their money being released. And we was checking them out, making sure that they didn't have nuclear weapons up, or so they have to upgrade or enrich uranium in order to be able to have nuclear weapons. If it's not upgraded past a certain point, it's cool. They can use it for, I don't know, nuclear energy, things like that. And we had people running in, making sure the IAEA, so, we'll get into that. I'll get into that in a moment, was running in and checking to make sure that their enriched uranium wasn't at weapons grade level, which is like 90% or above, something like that. Now, I'm not a nuclear expert. This is just what I understand because I like to read a lot. So this new thing that Donald Trump just did with them, there's nobody monitoring them according to the agreement. They can have nuclear grade uranium, or there's nothing in there about collecting what Donald Trump calls nuclear dust, which is a ridiculous name for the nuclear the enriched uranium. Let's keep it real. The enriched uranium that was supposedly buried by bombs that nobody but America and China have the capability to get to, according to Trump. But him talking is just Trump being Trump. You can't take anything he says at face value. You have to dig in a little deeper. And I don't have the on the ground about what's going on in Iran, so I can't say if it's true, but I can deduct from what's going on that it's probably not, because he's still talking about getting, the nuclear dust. So they were able to sell their oil, move their ships out of the Strait of Hormuz to sell that oil, and use the petrol, and use the US dollars to do it. Iran, Russia, North Korea also invested a great deal into Trump's crypto. That should not be, oh, I guess it has to be here. They invested into Trump's crypto. Is that possibly why he made a deal that benefited Iran so much? He did all this stuff. I don't think so. Looking at it critically thinking, I don't think so, but I want to give the facts. Iran, Russia, and North Korea gave tremendous amounts of money. Iran, Russia, and North Korea invested super heavily into Donald Trump's cryptocurrency and helped make him a billionaire. So there is some speculation that is why he started this war and signed a deal that benefited only Iran. I don't think that's the case, and we're going to get into that here, but I do want to bring it up because it can't be taken completely off the table, the amount of corruption that's going on in this office. It's a possibility. I don't think so, but it's definitely a possibility because everybody who invested in Trump's crypto coin benefited. The United States is buying Iranian oil. I know we were supposed to be the biggest exporter rather, a couple of weeks ago as our reserves were running low, trying to keep the prices from tanking out worldwide, which is why I think he signed the agreement, because if he didn't, our reserves are going to run out, according to ExxonMobil, the nation's leading oil exporters and the people that would know best. So I think that's the reason he did it, because he had no choice. He said something along. I think because he's becoming closer and closer to his final hour, that the dementia is kicking in. Now I'm not a medical expert, but I think some truth is really starting to seep out. He didn't want to be remembered as Herbert Hoover, the guy that led this country into the Great Depression. So I think he was more worried about his legacy. If you look around, everything he does is legacy. We'll get into that. I don't want to stray too far. But he did release 40 years of sanctions. He put the ceasefire in and said the ceasefire is not, doesn't mean the fire has to cease. It sometimes means the fire will just slow down because there's no real ceasefire. So all of this is going on, and Israel's like, well, I'll get to the chats in a moment, guys. I see you. Israel's like, well, we're not going to stop firing on Iran, on Lebanon. We're not letting peace. In this peace deal, Lebanon's a part of it, right? So Iran does not have to follow this legally if the United States doesn't abide by their side. On their side, Lebanon can't be fired on. While this peace deal is in place, we've already given them billions of dollars, released their ships so that they can make money using US dollars. We've done all of this, and Israel, our so-called partner, is now saying, well, we're going to continue firing on Lebanon. For every mother who shed a tear, what did they say? I want to get the numbers right. I have it in my notes. 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. To put that in perspective, Israel bombs Lebanon. When Lebanon retaliates, they're like, we're going to kill 1,000. We got to kill 1,000 you for every one of us that you killed. And we're keeping your territory. And they continue to bomb. And of course, this will put an end to the memorandum of understanding. Why is that important? Why is the MOU ending important? Well, we've already given them billions of dollars with the sanctions. They're already using they pull their ships out the strait. They're using USDs. Like, they're getting wealthy with the United States help. I mean, Obama lifted $1.7 billion. They lifted all the sanctions under Trump. I should say we were the United States. And then we're going to go back to war. So we just gave all our money away, kind of like I said we would do on the last episode. I'm like, we're giving them all this money. What happens when the war starts back up? Because Israel's not going to stop. And once they go back, they're going to keep our money. This is exactly what I said last week. I was looking into my crystal ball, utilizing my critical thinking, deductive reason processes, and saying what was going to happen because it was obvious to anybody who's not a fool. We know that Iranian psychologists were hired to trick Donald Trump into signing this MOU because they knew they evaluated him and said, he's lost his freaking mind. So we're going to, in order to negotiate with him, we got to have psychologists and psychiatrists on deck, which is, of course, where the Herbert Hoover thing came from. Because he walked out the negotiations like, I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. They got into his head. He negotiated with them. Psychiatrists are like, he's demented. That's my opinion. I don't know the exact diagnosis they came up with, but they definitely had a diagnosis. They had multiple diagnoses for him. That is a fact. And they said, I believe one of them is dementia, but I digress. He walked out saying, I don't want to be Herbert Hoover, and signed the contract. Since then, Congress has passed the War Powers Act. The War Powers Act is meant to limit the president's capability of declaring or maintaining a war. Well, actually, I should say maintaining because he has the ability to move troops, but once the war powers is supposed to contain him, and they can't do that until a certain amount of time has passed. Why that's important? Because in this particular case, it's worthless. Even though Republicans flipped on him to have this rubber stamp, I mean this War Powers Act signed, it doesn't have any teeth. He can ignore it. It doesn't have the power of law behind it. It was a meaningless gesture to say the contempt that they feel. And I think the Republicans flipped on him knowing that it wasn't going to have any power, but just so they can go to their constituents and say, see, we tried. But that's my personal opinion. And it seems that Dion agrees with me for once. Saudi
I'm just
Arabia.
nodding my head at this point. He's just let you keep talking.
Oh, let me get through this. Right. So Saudi Arabia has refused to meet with Mark Rubio, who is supposed to be our lead negotiator, politician that's supposed to be to deal with people. Saudi Arabia refused to meet with him. Why that's important? Real quick history. This country is the wealthiest country in the world. The way we maintain that wealth is because in 1972, Tricky Dick, our president at the time, I believe that's you right? He signed a
Richard
deal.
Nixon. Richard
Nixon, yes,
Nixon.
yes, Tricky Dick, yes, Tricky Dick. Richard's Dick is short for Richard. Tricky Dick signed this deal. That's actually Richard Dick. Dick is
Let me
short for
get in the
Richard.
chats. Let me just go.
Did you know that? You didn't know that? Okay, so why that's important? Before we go on, this is super important. This is the point about Saudi Arabia not meeting with us. Tricky Dick signed a deal with Saudi Arabia. This was the petrodollar deal. This is the deal that makes this country wealthy. And in that deal, he said, well, we'll protect you. We'll put bases there. We'll provide you protection. We call it security guarantees. We'll provide you protection. All you have to do is peg the price of oil to the US dollar. Right. And then a bunch of money comes back flooding in every time somebody makes a deal and buys gasoline from the oil-rich countries of the Middle East, which is, so that deal with Saudi Arabia is what kept this country rich. Since the 1970s, that's the one thing. We don't export a whole lot, soybeans. Hey, come on. We don't export a whole lot. China's the big exporter. What keeps us rich is that petrodollar deal. Saudi Arabia, who we signed the deal with, wouldn't even meet with Marco Rubio. So as I looked into my crystal ball and predicted, the petrodollar seems like it's coming to an end because of this regime. To finish up, Iran afterwards struck ships in the Strait of Hormuz that tried to pass through without their authorization and breaking the MOU deal. While Trump is like, oh, they're going to use the money that the billions of dollars that we're giving them to buy agriculture from the United States. They're like, no, nobody's buying your soybeans, bro. You're not giving us money so we can buy soybeans. That sounds stupid. Why wouldn't you just send us the soybeans, or why not pay the farmers, let them send soybeans? Why would you send the money to Iran so that they can purchase soybeans from America? That it just sounds stupid. Again, most people haven't examined that, but we here at the think tank like to use critical thinking. And when you look at what was being said at face value, it was nonsensical and illogical. Finally, the U.S. has retaliated and opened fire back on Iran in retaliation for the Panamanian ship that was struck. Now, that was a lot, but that is the current state of affairs with Iran. I'm going to jump in the chat, and then me and Dale's going to get at it. What we got going on here?
A lot.
Well, thank you, Kadir. I'm glad you were enjoying. Oh, we're gonna talk about that TPS. I have a friend, and yeah, I got a few friends, but I got one in particular I spoke to today. We're gonna talk about that. That is insane. Dion hasn't even spoke yet. So, are you a bot,
Thank you.
Anu?
Thank you.
Or June? Thank you. I think
Let me
Anu
get
might
a.
be a bot.
I'm gonna get a water. Get a water.
Well, okay. Yes. Dion keeps pushing back. Navin is a bot. Or June. Oh man, we got bots in here. Thank you, Jod. I
I don't
appreciate
know.
that. Hisham, yeah, it looks like the chat's moving. Thank you. Fact check which claim, AV. I will provide receipts. I am your cash register. I got you. Tell me what claim you're talking about. Pushpan, we're gonna try and give you all the smoke you can get. And yet, this is why I love political debates. I'm glad you enjoy. Abdul, I'm just starting with the receipts. Farm making Dion is backing down at all. Isn't backing down at all. It's another bot. We got a few bots in here, Dion.
I didn't invite them. I can assure you. Everybody invited is a human.
It's the balanced debate. We haven't even started yet. That's three bots. The corruption allegations topic deserves a deeper dive. Absent, I will get to that. Both sides are making valid points. Zoom is a bot. Huh. I'm just here with popcorn. Is that our room? I will look back into that. Leo's confidence is through the roof today. Thank you, Sashu. Generally, great discussion, even if people disagree. That was a strong rebuttal from Dion. Pankaj is apparently a bot. We got some bots in here. Like six, seven bots in here.
What can you do?
Interesting.
AI is taking over.
Okay. Now that we've acknowledged the bots, let's get to the smoke. Dion, what do you have to say about all of this? First, I know you're a 2080 Trumpster, whatever that is. Why don't you explain your stance before we dive in deeper?
Yes, you're supposed to have come to unbiased conclusions. That's the end of your monologue. Unbiased conclusions. Now, calling the president name shows that you have a bias, Leo. Just to remind you. Okay, so I'm gonna
Well,
start with the
before,
first
but
thing in my
let me
notes.
respond to that before you go on. You made an accusation, and it was an ad hominem. You attacked me to bring
You attacked
down.
the president.
You attacked me. Oh, you're defending the president. Got it. You attacked me to bring down my credibility, and now I'm going to defend myself. I am stating what I'm seeing. He's demented. Demented means it's a form of word to say dementia. And as I stated, looks like dementia to me. I can go into all of the things and reasons that I think he's demented. However, I would like to just utilize the fact that multiple high-level psychiatrists have all came to the same conclusion. At first, honestly, I couldn't tell if it was dementia or there was something else. I wasn't sure if it was dementia or I don't recall. But when all of the psychiatrists started saying it's dementia, I am leaving it to the experts. But please continue. I know, y'all don't like listening to experts. Hmm.
Well, an expert is not a psychiatrist or clinical psychologist. An expert
Wait a
can
minute.
be a broad
I don't understand
brush,
what you just
or
said. Say that again.
I said experts can be many things. But if you want to be specific to his condition, you might want to quote a psychiatrist or a
That's what I
clinical
said I did.
psychologist.
That's what I
Yeah,
just
but
said I
the
did.
experts is so broad. That's it could be multiple professionals
I
in the medical
literally
field.
said psychiatrist, Dion.
Well, experts. We trust the psychiatrists, but not all psychiatrists, because there's, different brands. But anyway, let me get my notes on my phone. All right, so we're going to start
Spoken like
off
true
with
Maha.
returning. All right, well, we're going to start with the lifting of sanctions. Like Leo alluded to earlier, they're trying to get Iran to start using the United States dollar as a form of international currency. And on top of that, once they formalize that, because they don't want to use the Chinese yen and things of that nature, that's number one. Number two, like you said before, there are hopes that they're going to use the newly released funds, that's in American dollars, that's in American banks, to buy agricultural stuff. Like he mentioned soy and some other agricultural items they need in Iran that they can't grow there. So that's the hopes with that. Now, at the top of the hour with Cash Patel and the Epstein files,
Well, not jump into the
That,
Epstein
other
files
than
yet. Let's stick with Iran right now. Let's not bury the lead.
you went through a lot, Leo, but okay, well, let me
It's
just do
all
just the.
Iran. I didn't stray from Iran. Everything is in order in your notes,
I
as it
know.
is every
Okay,
week.
so all right, then fine. I was jumping around. That's what I thought you were doing. Okay, fine. All right. The next thing is the. All right. Okay. Now you mentioned because that was the next thing, the cryptocurrency, because that's the next item. Yes.
We're still on Iran, Dion. We haven't left Iran.
Yeah, but that's
Oh,
the thing. Iran comes up again after the cryptocurrency.
oh, well, no, the cryptocurrency was because the speculation is that Iran, Russia, and China invested, and that's why Donald Trump. I don't believe this, but there is a lot of speculation circulating on social media and with other pundits as well that there is a possibility that Donald Trump signed this memorandum of understanding as payment for the investment that these countries made into his coin.
Okay, so you don't want me to touch that. So I'll go into the next thing, yes?
It's about the memorandum of understanding. The whole thing is about Iran so far.
Right, but I was going to talk about the cryptocurrency. That's right there. That's the second bullet point, yes?
It's the second bullet point. Go ahead, dear.
Okay. So that's why I'm just ready today. Okay, so basically, Elizabeth Warren, certain senators, the Department of Justice believe that Russia and Korea, they're monitoring their cryptocurrency because it's not regulated. But like we've said on the show, I think maybe a few times before, they're worried about a pump and dump scheme where they buy up a lot of Trump's coin and try to influence this really not regulated market of cryptocurrency. And that could affect a lot of financial things going forward because the president and the administration wants us to be the cryptocurrency capital of the world. So that's
But
what I
what
wanted to say
actually
about.
happened, but what actually happened was they invested the coin, and Donald Trump was the one that pumped and dumped. That's what
Well,
actually happened, and left everybody high and dry. So they're
well, this is
claiming
the future. You're talking about the past.
no, this was what happened. All of this happened. They invested in the coin. He did a pump and dump scheme. Everybody who was holding the coin lost out, except for his few rich friends that got rich off the dump. That all happened already. This is not something that's coming up. This is what happened.
Well, that's what I saw. They were trying to prevent it, but that's what I got here. All right, well, let me go on to the next thing. Okay, so the United States was buying Iran oil. And in this one, he's unfreezing a lot of money because basically what they're trying to do is stimulate the Iranian economy, but make it dependent on U.S. currency and U.S. banking systems. And that way they can control their economy that way, influence that global market that way. Now, when it comes to Saudi Arabia doesn't want to get involved in the United States because they don't want to be dragged into the war indirectly, and that's what they're trying to prevent on that angle. All right. Um, so there are temporary some of these sanctions being lifted, and these funds is temporary with the Department of United States Treasury for like 60 days. So we have to watch that clock and monitor how they manipulate that as well. So this is the $24 billion package that you were talking about. It's unfreezing money. Um, and it won't be entering Iranian accounts directly, but will be placed into our kind of economic control, if that makes sense, Leo.
That is not what
Okay,
the
next thing.
that is not what the memorandum of understanding says. What it says is their banks have the control. Do I need to pull up the document?
Please do, because this is what I'm getting on my notes here.
What I don't. Where are you getting your information?
The same internet you are, but I know what to ask the questions.
Okay. Um. hmm. I
Right. They will not enter the Iranian government accounts directly and can be frozen again if peace talks collapse. So they're basically trying to control their American money with the United States Department of Treasury and other banks they control. And then on top of that, they wanted to be in compliance with, the uranium inspectors of the United Nations and all stuff that you were saying. But let's go back to your point, Leo, whenever you find it here. So that's the economic thing. They want them they on the United States dollar, they want to buy from us medical supplies, agricultural products that they can't produce in Iran during this deal. And of course, the overall
That's
is to
not
keep
in
the
the
State
memorandum
Department
of
up.
understanding at all. That's not in there.
Well, I'm telling you the intentions of what the memo is going to do. That's my
What
analysis of
you're
it.
okay? So you're giving your analysis based on I don't understand uh, where you're getting this information. It's not in the. You're just like making stuff up. It's not. It's like it's not there. You're making stuff up that's not there. It's not in the memo.
No, I'm giving you the intentions of what's in the memo, Leo. This is what the
You're
president's
giving me
talking
the.
about.
What he's saying that, and they're saying they're not doing that, and it's not in the deal. So if that's the case, why isn't it in there?
Well, it's up to you to prove it otherwise, Leo. I just gave you my analysis. So,
Uh, Let me see if I can
which
find this
includes
memorandum.
fact, which includes what the president is talking about, which is what the Department of Treasury is talking about. The MOU says one thing, but this is the logic and reasoning behind it. That's my feedback.
So even multiple congressmen on in the MAGA realm are sufficiently full text of memorandum framework. Here we go. Are very upset at this. The Control F.
Oh, here we go.
Um. Oh, let's see if we can find this memorandum or find where it says bank in the memorandum. Okay, let's share this. I'm not reading it up front. Let me see if I got the right portion of it. The United States of America undertakes that immediately upon the signing of this MOU and until the termination of sanctions, the U.S. Department of Treasury will issue waivers for the export of Iranian crude oil, petroleum products, and derivatives, all associated services, including banking transactions, insurance, transportation, etc. There's another one. Let's see what the other one is. Treasury will issue waiver. Okay, that's the second one. What's the
So wait, are you going with articles or actual document itself?
This is the document. This is the document. It's saying there's two mentions of bank. Oh, here's the other one. Such funds, whether retained in the original account or transferred, shall be made fully usable for payment to any ultimate beneficiary designated by the Central Bank of the Islamic Republic of Iran. That's the document. So I don't know where you got your information, but in the document that Trump signed, that is not what is happening. They literally got the money transferred back to their accounts. Like this is
Okay.
really a surrender. This
Okay,
is really bad.
what I need you to do for me is something that I do on my end, and we've done it before. Just ask AI that question. That's it.
I I don't want to ask AI. I read
You know
it
what I say?
in the actual document. If you want to ask
That was
AI, that's
yes,
fine.
that wasn't it. That wasn't it. The actual document is in a PDF, Leo. The MOU is a PDF. Let me find it for
It
you.
was a copy and paste from what is this? What news resource is this? NPR.
Oh,
Like,
whoa, I don't trust those guys.
yeah, I'm sure you don't. They give actual news.
Nope.
Read the full
No, they don't.
text.
Fake news. Fake.
Read the full text of Trump's preliminary U.S.-Iran agreement to end the war.
Yes, let's do
NPR
that.
has obtained a copy of the framework agreement to end the war with Iran. A source shared the text on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the preliminary deal. Formerly called a memorandum of understanding, the text was signed Wednesday by President Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. As well as by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, which mediated between the U.S. and Iran. The text is as follows. Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States. Blah, blah. And
Mhm.
then this is the text. And what I brought it out to you was here in the text where to any ultimate beneficiary designated by the Central Bank of Islamic Republic of Iran. Full stop. You bring up AI stuff. The AI stuff, as we well know, is controlled. The actual memorandum is plain language. So maybe you don't know that it's a lie, and from within inside certain bubbles, I can see that you can't see outside, but your defense is a moot point. The actual memorandum tells us what is really happening. I know it's sad. I see the cognitive dissonance in your eyes, and that is not a hyperbole. Like right now, you're looking, you're a little sad that Donald Trump signed that, and you're like, there's got to be something. It can't.
I'm not trying to be a biased opinion. I'm just reading the memo on my end right now, Leo. But again, this MOU is still ongoing because remember, with the attacks going on right now, none of this should be happening at all because it's already in violation. Understand?
So why is it in violation? Let's see what you understand.
Well, seeing as though the attacks are still going on sporadically, none of this, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, is being honored. Does that make sense? It's all talk and hearsay.
I'm not a lawyer either, but we have the plain text, and we can dissect what the plain text of the contract or memorandum of understanding, which is basically a contract, says.
But my thing
Now,
is this, has the money been released? That's why you have to ask
yes,
AI. What do you think answer?
upon signing, it was released. Yes. Even Trump's not denying it. Everybody knows the money was released. I told you last week, I gazed into my crystal ball and told you exactly everything that was going to happen. And I think I got lucky and hit everything on the head because it happened exactly as I predicted it would, as per usual.
Well, according to AI, it hasn't been released yet, and that's what I keep trying to tell you.
According to AI, the United States banks have the money. So AI is obviously giving you false information. Maybe the information is old, but the money's been released. That's not even up for it. Says it in plain text. I mean, AI is telling you one thing, the memorandum saying something else. I'm going to go with the document that he signed because the United States said they got the money. Iran said they got the money. AI says they didn't. Okay.
It
I'm
hasn't
going
been
with
released yet.
not according to America, not according to Iran, just according to this AI with old information.
Well, I haven't seen anything so far in my research that says they released the money. This has all been just nothing but talks. Unless you can prove it wrong, but so far it's just all being talks. Like I'm gonna end this from day one. Leo, remember I'm gonna end this from day one. You say, "Oh, Trump is lying." So far with this MOU, I don't see any actions being taken place. That's about it. I'm just talking about the intentions of the MOU. That was it.
So what you're saying is that you don't think that the United States upheld their end of the deal and released the money.
Nope. Because Iran is still attacking. Get it? And the
No,
Strait of Hormuz is
that's
not.
not what happened. That's
That's
not what
not what
happened.
happened. That's not what's happening. Are you sure? The Strait of Hormuz is nice and clear. There's no military
No,
conflicts going
no,
on, Leo.
no, what you're doing is
Let
another
me check
logic
this
fallacy.
fast.
What you're doing is another fallacy, and this one is a straw man. You're trying to weaken the argument. You're trying to dilute it. But let us look at why the strait is once again at war. I guess I'll have to share my screen. Here's why. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start. And considering the
Wait,
need for what am I waiting for?
I got the share screen to load.
It didn't load. Oh,
Okay.
thank you for that.
Yeah, you good. Good. Now it's here. I can see it.
I will start over. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start. And considering the need for removing the technical and military obstacles and demining by the Islamic Republic of Iran will be instated within 30 days. The Islamic Republic of Iran will conduct dialogue with the Sultanate of Oman to define the future administration and maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz in discussion with the other Persian Gulf littoral states, in line with applicable international law and the sovereign rights of coastal states of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. Let's read up. Upon the signing of the MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for the safe passage of commercial vehicles, with no charge for 60 days only. So this is the thing right here.
They
With no
violated
charge,
that, Leo.
with no charge for 60 days only, from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman, and vice versa. The traffic of commercial vessels will immediately start, and considering the need for removing the technical and military obstacles and demining by the Islamic Republic of Iran will be instated within 30 days. Within 30 days. So the Islamic Republic of Iran will conduct dialogue. See, this isn't saying that they can just freely go through. According to this, if they can charge, they have control of the state straight. Am I incorrect?
I think you are, Leo, because again, Iran is in violation. The United States are in violation of this MOU. So nobody really has to honor anything. This is all just, as they say, putting on airs. Ever heard that phrase, putting on airs? They're just going through the motions. When in actuality, it's not being practical.
Well, you're obviously not paying attention to what's going on. I see that now. You're obviously not paying it. So let me
Well,
update you on what is actually happening. Iran is saying, well, you signed a document, so we're in control of the strait. America tried to send a Panamanian ship through the strait without Iranian permission. So Iran fired on them.
violation.
The violation was sending through without permission.
Well, guess what? These are actions on both ends, Leo. Don't get me wrong. I said both ends are in violation of the MOU.
No,
That's why
no,
it's null
that's
and
not.
void, in my opinion.
Not that's not how that works.
How does it work?
So once the United States sent the ships through without Iranian permission, and they already agreed that they have to go through Iranian framework in order to send ships through, the MOU becomes moot at that point because the United States already violated the MOU. Iran just retaliated after the MOU was violated. Trump did what he did and said, "Now you can't fire. We got to fire back." But if the MOU wasn't violent, and Iran was like, "We know you're gonna break it. We're doing this. We're not putting up any concessions up front because we know you're gonna violate it anyway. None of this matters." So they tried to milk everything they could out of it before the inevitable failure on the United States end to uphold their side of the deal, which I told you would happen last week and how it was going to happen. I was The United States is not going to hold up. This MOU is going to fail. The United States is going to go through and break the rules. And I told you it was going to happen. It wasn't hard. It was Trump. It was easy to predict.
It's always
I
Trump,
wasn't.
right? It was always Trump the whole time.
I guess maybe if I was correct in my predictions, or maybe this crystal ball really works and I just saw the future. It's either that or I was able to look and tell what Trump was going to do because Trump was obvious. It's one or the other. So is my magic crystal ball working, or is it that I can predict Trump because he's going to do what he's going to do, which is be a fraudster and break contracts?
That
It's
has
one
nothing
of
to do
the.
with this. Okay.
Well, that's exactly what happened. He broke the contract. He had a contract called an MOU, and when they signed it, the Iranians, like, we know you're going to break it, and we knew he was going to break it because he's a fraudster. He broke it like I predicted. It wasn't really hard to determine, but I understand you can't or don't want to see that. That's fine. Let's move forward. So you feel that Iran broke the contract also, even though,
Yes.
of
There's
course,
lots of military consequences happening right now. So this MOU is just toilet paper at this point to blow your nose or do something else with it.
I told you that last week. I told you that America was not going to follow Trump, was going to break it, and what would happen. I told you exactly what was going to happen. But go ahead, try and blame everybody but Trump. Try and protect Trump.
I'm not trying to protect Trump. I said on both sides, there are violations. So this MOU is like
But
me,
you can't,
basically.
it's if somebody breaks the violation, then the violation is broken. What the other side does afterwards is
So Iran
irrelevant. The
is nice and
violation,
innocent, Leo. You're taking the enemy
unfortunately,
side.
unfortunately, they didn't break the contract. The U.S. did. Both sides didn't break it at the same time. The U.S. broke the contract. The contract is null and void. This is not. Listen, I'm not a lawyer,
So then the
but
United States is not sending the money, right?
the money was sent
It hasn't been sent.
already.
I don't think it's been sent. So I haven't seen anything saying that it's been sent. All I saw is something in writing to nowhere.
Right. What you think is what you think, but the facts are the facts nonetheless. All right. I guess we can move on from this Iran thing. So we're at war. What do you think, before we leave this topic, what is your opinion of what's going to happen and what should happen? And then I'll give my critically thought out breakdown.
With the war in Iran?
Yes.
Okay. I think that Israel, again, like I've said consistently, needs to step up and take a more active role. The Prime Minister Netanyahu has to follow through with saying, hey, we're not going to be taking any more American money. I'll be very happy with that. And on top of that, then the United States can actually pull out and just let Israel take care of the situation with their weaponry. Because since they're already fighting the Hezbollah with Lebanon and they're closer to Iran than we are, well, we are military there. I think Israel has to step up. That's what I like to see happen. And then we could transition off to something else and focus on maybe the Ukraine war and try to de-escalate that for a change. So that's
What
what
do
I
you think
think and
will
hope.
happen to the petrodollar should the United States back out of it?
I think that the United States should back out of it. And like I said, Israel steps up and the strait is opened and peace is getting accomplished over there. Then Iran will be forced to use American dollars in order to participate in the global economy with certain sanctions that were left off and their money being and still accessible to be frozen at our command through our banking system and currency. So
What do you think will happen to the petrodollar if the United States backs out?
it'll stabilize.
So the country that doesn't even want to meet with us because of the United States backing out of this war after they started getting their country bombed, Saudi Arabia, is going to just continue with business as usual if the United States capitulates and backs
Well,
out?
again, you forgetting something that I said. I said Israel needs to step up. You keep for some reason you left that out of my response. And so,
Because
yes,
Israel has nothing to do with the petrodollar. That's what happens to the United States petrodollar,
I
and you use the red herring, and the red herring is an argument fallacy where you redirect somebody's attention to something else. In this particular case, that something else is
well, the U.S.
Israel. When it,
petrodollar will be fine because, again, like I said, Iran is going to be using the American dollar because the sanctions are being lifted and they're using our currency in the banks. That's what I said earlier. That's it.
that doesn't sound like a possibility. These countries are now going to Iran
It's
for
my
security.
opinion.
These countries are now going to Iran for a security umbrella and not meeting with the United States. They're going to Iran now. They feel like Iran can protect them better. They're better situated dealing with Iran than the United States. That is the current state of affairs. Marco Rubio's over there and they're like, dub, Iran, what's up? We all Muslim, right? What's up? That's what's
No good.
happening. So if they're, I know Islamophobia for you, but I happen to like those
Is
kind of.
that
I like them.
right?
So, so if they no longer need our security guarantee because it's worthless. Iran just showed that it's worthless because we just capitulated and gave them, released all their sanctions, let them use you. Like, yo, they won. Why would they continue to pay the United States to use our dollars if the only thing we provided was military protection, which has now been shown to be irrelevant?
Because we control the sanctions over their country, Leo. That's it.
Do you,
We've choked
do
them
you
off.
understand? Wow, your economics is horrible. Do you understand
I
how
answered your
sanctions work?
question.
Do you understand how sanctions work?
So far, lifting them is a good idea, isn't it, Leo? You just said so, and it's not working. So
Let me explain how sanctions work. Now, I'm not an
please,
economist.
just like tariffs, Leo, let these people know your knowledge.
Okay, because of the petrodollar, because of the petrodollar, most countries do their trade through something called the SWIFT system. And in the SWIFT system, that is where, so they buy US dollars in their country, and then they use those US dollars to trade in the SWIFT system. However, if they decide to trade amongst themselves without going through the SWIFT system, sanctions in the SWIFT system become irrelevant. We can only sanction them if they're using the petrodollar. If they decide not to use the petrodollar, sanctions are irrelevant because they're not using the SWIFT system where the petrodollar is used to trade. Does that clarify?
Well, this is the first time you involve the SWIFT system into the conversation,
It
so
is
it cleared up a
definitely
few
not.
things. What? This is the first time you said it tonight, Leo.
Okay, tonight. Okay. This is not drinking. This is tea.
And I'm drinking
Got it.
bottled water, okay, everybody? Because I am not in New York right now. As you can see, I'm just trying to make Black America great again in the capital, DC, Chocolate City. It's coming back.
So the SWIFT system can't be utilized to hold sanctions over countries if they leave the petrodollar. So I'm gonna ask again, what do you think will happen to the petrodollar, which is so sanctions, if they leave the petrodollar, sanctions is not a weapon anymore. So, excuse me. So what do you think will happen to the petrodollar if we leave the war and our security guarantees become worthless because we ran from Iran? Get it? We ran from Iran.
Makes sense. But so far, from what I think will happen, amongst everything I just previously said, I either would say I don't know, or it might actually increase in value if the Strait of Hormuz is open. Get it?
Ladies and gentlemen, MAGA cannot be in control. This is MAGA math. This is the MAGA science. Like you've heard everything, use your own critical thinking. If you're listening to this and you didn't have an understanding of how bad it was with MAGA in control now, you're hearing it firsthand. Crizzy, what did you say? Maybe Mr. Powell was talking about something not in the document. That's a possibility. If it wasn't in the document, though, it means it's not agreed on. Just brainstorming about the thought that happened leading up to the document's creation. There's something. Maybe because that is kind of what you were alluding to. But as I said, it's not what Donald Trump signed. Trump did try to get out of sending people their Trump phone, right? He frauded them people too, but I can go through a laundry list of fraud. That's just
Here we go.
Trump being Trump. Yeah, I'm not going to go into all the fraud, Dion. You ain't got to worry about it. So following contracts doesn't seem like something he would do. I mean, the Trump phone it's an example. I mean, we can go through so many. The pump and dump we just talked about. But why do
Pause.
all of that? Listen, I'm. Oh my God, no! He's saying facts again, not facts. Why is he doing this? Trump, Trump, Trump. Make Black America great again. Because
What do you got to lose? Ah,
voting
look
rights,
at that. Oh yeah,
affirmative
right.
action,
Oh, whoa.
DEI. You asked the question, I answered the question, and you're making silly faces. That's almost. I mean, Trump does that. So, and we know something's wrong with Trump. Why are you making silly faces?
I'm saying, when we lost all our rights, everybody.
Well, they're about to try and take away citizenship. That's in the courts right now.
Oh, here we go. So scared, everybody. Shout out to our 2,500 people consistently being there, but hopefully we'll increase our numbers, family.
I mean, I get it. You're not afraid. I mean, I don't know why.
Okay. We're getting through a lot so fast. So we went through Iran, and
Well, that was the biggest part of the
now
statement. Well, right now I'm
then
going to go. Right now I'm going to go into temporary protective. We're going to do a whole episode about this sometime this week. But let's go into Trump temporary protective status, shall we?
that's not.
I don't even have it listed. I didn't send it to you. Wow, it's the biggest thing in the
I mean, I know what
news.
you're talking about. If you don't mind me just going extemporaneously, but yeah, that's not here.
I apologize. Let us dig into the biggest thing in the news cycle.
But I keep up to date, so hit me with it.
What is it? How do you feel about the fact that the courts have just ruled that temporary protective status has been lifted?
Well, the T stands for temporary. So the concern this side is that it's been used as a loophole to permanent citizenship, where with the immigration policies have changed under this new administration, they're trying to stop and halt all of that,
It seems
especially
like they're
because
targeting blacks or dark people, though.
well, the Haitian community has been beat up on a lot. And if you recall, under the Biden administration, they actually tried to round them up at the border with horses and whips. That wasn't Donald Trump's administration. That was Biden's administration with those imageries. And the at
Horses
the
and
time,
whips.
you don't remember? You don't remember the imagery when they tried to round up the Haitians coming across the borders with horses and whips, Leo? You should look it
Hold
up,
on,
by the
wait,
way.
wait, 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 wait. So did
Wait,
Biden
what?
let them? Did Biden let them in with TPS, or did he round them up at the border with horses and whips? Both things can't be true. Go ahead and try and square that round hole. Go for it. I'm waiting.
Sure, they can. It's called catch and release. Ooh, know that term, Leo? Catch and release. Ah, don't
So
like
they
it,
was
huh?
beating. So they was beating
Long
them with.
story short, the Haitian people and the country of Haiti has been a tool here in America, especially by the Clintons. So I'll let you think about that. And if Dion disappears, you'll know why. So anyway,
Oh,
so
the Clintons
again,
would the Clintons robbed them blind. Yes, absolutely. Collected all that money and robbed them. Absolutely.
they visited Haiti on a trip and they fell in love with the country. So much so that they're going to. But anyway, so that's my thoughts on temporary protective custody and why it's being removed because a lot of other mechanisms for visas and protective status and asylum has been so exploited when the border was open under the previous administration that this administration is cracking down. It didn't take Congress, it just needed a new president. So from day one, Leo. Remember that from day one? Border closed. Bam.
Wow. Border closed. So why is he targeting brown and blacks? Do you know what's going on in Haiti?
That's being controlled by the gangs, something like that.
So you understand that living in Haiti right now is super dangerous.
Even more reason for them to go back to their country and fix it, no?
So just send women and children into gang ruled land and wish them well.
Unless you want Trump to send some troops over there like we usually do.
In this particular case, I'd probably agree with it if you're going to take out the gangs and restore the government. But no,
As
this country,
soon as Joe Biden won election, the Haitian president was assassinated. That never would have happened if Trump would have won in 2020. I know that much. But I'm just giving you some perspective of how the Clintons and the Bidens need Haiti to be nice and disabled. Isn't that interesting how that works, Leo? Whereas Trump is
it's
like, you
not
know
how it
what?
works.
That's not how it works. Well, Trump is sending everybody back to Haiti so they can fix the country. Good luck to him. But if you want Trump to send the Marines, then hey, don't get mad when he does.
But he's not going to send the Marine. He's not going to send the Marines because there's nothing for him to gain there and personally enrich himself.
You
So
can
it
put a
won't
casino
happen.
in Haiti, huh? You want to put a casino in Haiti?
If he can find a way to exploit them, he will. But
Like the
why is he
Clintons.
why? So why is he letting in white South Africans and sending away Haitians under that same TPS?
Well, remember, this administration is prioritizing certain citizenry around the country. I mean, after all
Whites.
this
It's
time,
prioritizing
hold it, hold it,
whites.
hold it, hold it. What is the proportionality of Haitians coming over here and exploiting the immigration temporary protective custody but temporary protective status as opposed to South Africans? You see where I'm going with this, Leo?
He's
All the
kicking out
cultures.
Haitians and bringing in white South Africans under the
No, he's
exact
not doing it.
same
That's a
TPS.
lie.
Yet,
That's a lie.
what?
How many South Africans? You talk about Elon Musk now? You're gonna say he's the one that they let sneak in?
Hold on, time out. So, why don't you ask your AI friend?
Okay.
He had a whole meeting with the president of South Africa about and lied on them. He had a whole meeting with them.
Well, South Africa is actually going through its own little border disputes and trying to kick out the Somalians, the Nigerians, and all the other xenophobic outsiders from their country for destroying the economy, just like the Dominican Republic is doing with Haiti. It's crazy how the Dominican Republic, South Africa, and other countries love their borders, but the people that are here from those countries in elected office tell us that we should have an open border for us. That's very strange. That's why this hat is so key.
Temporary protective status is not currently designated for
Wait,
South
Leah, wait.
Africa.
Wait.
Oh,
Okay, now.
temporary protective status is not currently designated for South Africa. Instead, the U.S. government established a specialized refugees admission program for white South African minorities. So, as I said, he set up a special refugee program for white South Africans while he's kicking Haitians out and sending them back to a country where gangs in control of their government.
So let me reverse the question to you. Do you know why he's taking these South Africans? Because similar circumstances happened to them, like the people in Haiti. Because if you send these South Africans back to South Africa, remember the Africans there are trying to take their land and try to get rid of them too and kick them out. Isn't that interesting,
When
Leo?
when President, I can't remember his name, when the president of South Africa was addressed with this claim in
Uh-huh.
the White House, it was proven to not be true. But even if it were true, let's suppose that this claim was true. So you're telling me out of your mouth that he's sending Haitians back to deal with this problem, but he's letting white South Africans in so they don't have to deal with this problem. So he's kicking out blacks and bringing in whites for the exact same thing. That sounds almost racist.
I don't know. It sounds racist when you interchange Haitian and blacks so much. So one minute they're Haitians, next minute they're blacks. So I don't like that double dipping, Leo. Like if I'm black, can I apply for a Haitian scholarship even though I'm not Haitian? You see,
So let me
that's
get
why
this
I'm trying
right.
to make Black
So let me get this
America
right.
great again. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That was a logic fallacy that I am not familiar with. I have to go through my notes because that was so absurd. What you just your defense of this was stop calling Haitians black. Hold on, what the hell kind of? I don't even know what it be like. You just said
I'm
that.
just saying one or the other.
I'm saying that they're black. The Haitians are black. You're not
They're
white.
Haitian one minute and then they're black the next. So how come so Haitian and black are one of the same, Leo? I don't think so. The Haitian when they need to be Haitian and they're black when they need to be black. And we're saying no more of that anymore, my friends. Not cool, Leo. Not cool.
Wow, I don't even have this one written down. Ah, this is an ad hoc. Thank you. I knew it was a logic fallacy. An ad hoc fallacy, also known as an ad hoc or an ad hoc rescue, occurs when someone invents an unsupported, usually unprovable excuse on the spot to salvage their original argument from being disproven. Ah, got it. So this ad hoc argument you just utilized, this utterly ridiculous statement that, oh, I can't call Haitians black, so it's not
I didn't
racist.
say that. I'm
That
just
is what you
questioning it.
said. That is exactly what you said. They're black or they're Haitian. So I can't call Haitians black, is what you said.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that I'm
You said one or
confused.
the other. If
Yeah,
you're
one to
saying
the
one or the
other. They're
other,
either Haitian or they're black or they're one
so
and the
what?
same.
So
Just
so
clarify that.
if it's one or the other, then what you're saying is I can't call Haitians black because or means you can't use both. That's what you're saying. I can't use both. So I can't call Haitians black is your argument to this president not being racist. Wow. That is crazy. That one right there. His defense, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to call Haitians, for President Trump not being racist against Haitians, is I can't call Haitians black. I'm done. We're moving forward. There's nothing left to talk about this. We will have a full blown discussion later this week on it. I'll bring in a few more very important facts. But right now, I'm completely disgusted. In the past, our peacetime president slammed the 2020 resolution to limit the power to direct strikes against Iran as very insulting resolution. And based on misunderstandings of facts and law, Congress passed the War Powers Resolution in 2019 and 2020 during Trump's first term, directing him to withdraw U.S. forces from hostilities against Yemen and Iran. So our peacetime president had to be directed through War Powers Acts to no longer attack Iran and Yemen. So I guess he has a thing for Iran, and he's not so much of a peacetime president. It's not that he didn't try and attack Iran, it's that Congress at the time wasn't completely under his control and they didn't allow him. But we'll move on to corruption. You want to talk about corruption? Here we are. Where do we start? Dan Bongino. Let's start there. Dan Bongino said that Trump stopped the investigation into the Butler assassination attempts. Who's Dan Bongino?
He is what you would call a conservative influencer and podcaster and pundit that has his own little
Where was he
podcast. And he's
before
a
he was a
former
podcaster?
deputy FB.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
He
I,
was a part of the Secret Service, I believe. And then for the pertinent to this discussion is that he's also the former deputy director of the FBI under Kash Patel. So during his brief tenure at the FBI, this is some of the information he's releasing on his podcast. But like some of us here on the right said, Dan Pargino couldn't take handling a real job from 9 to 5. That's why he went back to this podcast. And he looked quite the fool because he overpromised and underdelivered with the Epstein files. So that's where he's at. Understand?
so an ad hominem attack attacking him versus dealing with the facts. Another logic fallacy that the number
What
one logic,
facts? I just told you. He
the number
said
one,
what he said because of his background at the FBI. Whether it's true or not, are you going to ask me if I think it's true or not? It's possible, in my opinion.
the number one fallacy that MAGA likes to commit is ad hominem, to attack the person rather than dealing with the facts. He attacked
But
Don
those are
Dan Bon
facts.
he attacked Dan Bongino's person for leaving the FBI and said, "Oh, he left because he couldn't handle the job." When in actuality, if he went there trying to find out what was going on with the Epstein files and he left, and now he's saying the person stopping the release of the Epstein's files was actually Trump, then maybe he left because Trump was blocking the release of the Epstein files. Critical thinking. But I digress.
Oh God. Oh God.
Your
Okay.
thoughts?
On the FC files with Dan Bongino?
Absolutely.
Well, again, he overpromised, undelivered, just like Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, and the president. And as I said on previous episodes, the FC files and the wars are two issues that make me an 80-20 Trumpster. So 20% I disagree with the president on, and includes those two issues right there, which are very big on the right.
So, how about the Butler assassination?
Well, the Butler assassination, again, right now, in hindsight, with information that's coming out, people are wondering if it was staged or not. But my point has always been if it was staged, then why has the mainstream legacy media broke the story to discredit President Donald Trump?
Well, I'm going to explain to you how I know it was staged for about the billionth time. I'm exaggerating. That's me being hyperbolic.
Oh boy.
Bullets this size that come out of a rifle that even come close to human flesh are going to sear the flesh because they get very, very hot. So nick of the nick where the bullet was supposed to have nicked him, had there been a bullet, would have left char, a black smudge char around because the heat of the bullet would have actually caused far more damage than the bullet. For anybody who's a gun enthusiast and never shot anything, there's
Most
no
definitely.
way possible that he got nicked by a rifle bullet and there was a nick on his ear. That's not how physics works. Now I'm not a physicist, but I've shot a gun or two and no. No. So Trump is trying to stop people from investigating because he doesn't want the truth revealed, which is who knows. I'll use my critical thinking, put my critical thinking cap on. Hope you guys are using yours as well. It does not appear to be real.
So it was
Cash
just a
Patel,
publicity stunt in order to get reelected, right, Leo? To gain public sympathy. That's what you should say.
I didn't have to. You phrased it perfectly, but I didn't want to lead the
We
audience.
agree.
I wanted them to come to their own conclusions. But yes, that is exactly what
Biased
I
conclusion.
right. But now you just buy it. You just put the bias in by giving them the perpetrated the answer. All right. Anyway, Cash Patel's making payments to the FBI agents of $8,000 for carrying out illegal acts. Thoughts?
Well, right now it hasn't really been proven. It's being investigated. So, and that's what I have to say about that.
All right. We haven't proven anything, but it sounds like a
It's being
strong
investigated.
possibility.
They're gonna have hearings because Cash Patel, again, a person that's coming out of left field like Dan Bongino, who, worked in law enforcement for some time, being in such an executive leadership level, I'm not sure he was prepared for. And there's been a lot of stuff that you've seen fall through the cracks since day one with his tenure.
Did you know that the Parks Department was going to put a contract out, a bid to fix the reflecting pool for $1.5 million before Trump gave it to his man for $10 million?
That sounds like standard procedure. But remember, Leo, like I said on previous episode, the president wanted to get private money for this. As soon as
For
they
the for
wanted
the
to
for the
release their
reflecting
public,
pool?
no, oh yeah, okay, I messed up. Yes. So for the reflecting pool, yes, there was no bid contact. Fine.
And the Parks Department was going to bid 1.5.
Okay.
He canceled the bid and gave somebody 10 million. Oh man. For the job that they did. What do you think about that? Why do you think, I mean, and this guy obviously didn't know what he was doing, right?
Are you asking me or telling me at this point?
I That's a
I, I,
question.
well, where's the question mark and all that? But the point is this, Leo, no bid contracts and government contracting happen all the time. And that's when the waste, fraud, spending, and abuse comes into play. And so obviously this time the president went to have a hand in all the refurbished, the redesign of the White House, the property of the Capitol. And here goes another blunder.
6 or 7 times as much. He cost taxpayers 6 to 7 times as much so we can give the contract to his man. Do you think that that's legitimate?
Well, if there's a problem, then it should be investigated, or somebody should put a complaint into the GAO, which is the General Accountability Office, if I'm not mistaken.
There is a problem. There's a big
Lay
problem.
low. All right, ready.
The problem is this is what the pool looks like now.
Okay.
So it cost taxpayers $10 million. And this is somebody's Instagram. I didn't want to go to somebody's Instagram. That's them reporting. This is
A cesspool.
so low. This is us not like this is
Green
pretty
flag.
like the reflecting didn't come out right. Let's correct this.
Shout out to
Yeah.
our 4,400 people. We finally broke 2,500. So thanks, guys. Keep going. Don't forget to hit the box, the gift box, the emojis, and yeah.
And thank you everybody for coming. I hope you're enjoying. I mean, this is from the reflecting pool here. This is crazy. This is the paint job that they did. Like, look at this water. So we paid $10 million for a job somebody could have done for $1 million, and that was the results.
Choppy work. So what can you do? Oh yeah, spend waste some more money on it to make sure the contract comes through.
Uh, After the IPO, initial public offering of SpaceX, as I predicted last week, we talked about this. We went into great detail on the fact. What did I tell you exactly was going to happen? He was going to need a loan and take the loan out and pocket the money because, and didn't I tell you that was going to happen? Exactly that was going to happen, Dion? Do you recall that?
Yes, but according to my research, that's not true. Remember, I said it on the last episode that Elon Musk knows how to, well, for your purposes, game the system of governmental contracting and also other do business with the government, and you put people to work for economic development purposes. So he moved some money around. He got a bond against SpaceX, I believe it is, and some other items in order to have the money circulating as such. I'm not an economist, Or a true
Obviously,
businessman like Elon Musk, like he's a billionaire, but that's what he's doing.
it's obvious that you're not an economist and have very limited understanding of finances. So allow me to explain.
Yeah.
Allow me to explain to you what a bond is. That is the loan, Dion. The bond is the loan.
Against his own money, right?
Yes, that's how it works. You borrow against your own money. So let me do it simple for you. Simple math. Let me make it real simple for you. If you have $20 in your hand and you're like, yo, let me borrow $20. I got this 20, so you know I can pay 20 back. Let me borrow that. I'll give it back to you. I'll give it back to you with interest. You know I can afford it because I got the 20 in my hand and I give you a 20. Now you have 40. You declare bankruptcy, you're like, yo, I can't give it back, but you pay now you got $40 instead of 20. It's not quite that simple, but that's basically what it is. He borrowed against his own money, but he borrowed. So now he has more money in his pocket that he doesn't have to pay back when he declares bankruptcy. And this is exactly what I told you he's going to do last week. It's literally what I told you. But don't worry, I didn't figure it out. I was listening to economists that are a lot smarter than me with finances explain it. That's how come I knew what would happen. I didn't figure that one out on my own. I also do my research, and the economist was like, "Oh, this is obvious what's going to happen." And when we explained, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of obvious."
Well,
The pool feels like money laundering. Oh, 100 for 2 joules. Thank you, Chrissy. Trump did try to get out of sending people their Trump phone. Oh, right. So, oh wow, we're almost up to 5,000. That's pretty awesome. All
yes,
right.
we need 100 more. So shout out to
Well,
Debbie who just put this on, figured out how to put this on the TV, on YouTube TV. Good lord.
ah, nice. Well, hello to Dion's Aunt Debbie. So, all right. Well, she came in as we're coming to our end. We have a few more topics to discuss, but we're nearing our end. Um, let's go into policy for 200. Schools can determine school student loan caps for programs, and by funding U.S. schools, they could tell the U.S. schools how much those caps should be in particular programs. This means the Fed can control what demographic gets to study what subject. So let me make that simple, right? That means that they can go in a CUNY and be like, we're not going to fund you if you give the people in your school enough loan money to become nurses. And so in order for CUNY to maintain funding, they would have to give loans less than the amount necessary for, let's say, Black women to complete nursing programs.
Why don't you explain to people what CUNY is, Leo, for our broad audience that doesn't live in New York?
It's a city university of New York, but the name of the school doesn't matter. The
Yes,
fact
it
is,
does, Leo, because it's a public university as opposed to a private university.
they can do this to any school. So based on the subject material here, they can. It doesn't matter. They can do this to any school, private or public. As long as they have funding and they control the funding, they can do that.
Okay.
Are you saying they don't fund both private and funding and public schools, Dion? Are you saying that both private and public schools at the collegiate level don't require federal funding in order to operate?
Most do, some don't. There's a difference between public school and private school across the board in this universe. And the public school relies more heavier on public funds from the federal, state, and local governments than do private schools.
That
That's
depends
a
on the
fact.
school. That depends on the school. That's not true at all. That depends on the school. That depends on the
I
school,
don't
Dion.
understand.
I
So
know,
you're
but that's
saying
okay.
so you're saying that there's private schools that rely more heavily on taxpayer dollars than public colleges, right?
Or just as much, absolutely. Okay, are Ivy League schools private or public?
Private.
Harvard how did he leverage Harvard by threatening to take away what kind of money?
Well,
Is
that's the
that
thing. That's the thing. Private schools do apply for federal grants and funding.
So then he can do exactly what I said. He can leverage the funding that they need from the government to control things like what people can go to school for. You're saying, oh, private and public is different. And at the end of the
Right. But then
day,
you have colleges out there that don't take public money, and that's why they don't want the government to have a say in any of their curriculum. Harvard is one of those schools that doesn't need public money. That's why it's a
that's not
problem for some
true. What are
people.
you talking
Yeah, it
about?
is
Okay,
true. Harvard University is like supposed to be a top college university in America. They have so many philanthropists and alumni. Why should they get public money, especially when they're doing legacy enrollment? So that's always been a controversy in my side when it deals with higher education.
so you're saying what they should get, not what they do get. And to be honest, that is disingenuous at best. I believe that's another ad hoc argument. I'm not going to, I will get, again, an ad hoc is a logic fallacy that occurs when someone invents an unsupported, usually unprovable excuse on the spot to salvage their original argument from being disproven. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Harvard University receives hundreds of millions in federal government funding annually. So there's a private school getting as much as a private. So even these private Ivy League schools can be taken advantage of by leveraging the funding they get from the public government. That's how he bent them to their knees last year. That is just the facts. There's nothing else. So I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with you with that. Like, how did you even come to that conclusion? That's weird.
Well, it's
Um,
not weird. It's just that this is between public higher education and private higher education when
either
it
way,
comes to federal funding and student loans and blah blah. And the one big beautiful bill and it changes in July when it comes to this policy. But go ahead, Leo.
either way, he can use the funding that these schools get to leverage what people in that school get student loans for and how much student loans they get, how much their cap on the student loan is in that particular school for XYZ program. So, in other words, if you want to go to Harvard, when you might have been able to get loans to do it last year, now there's a cap, you can't do it. And he's going to target schools of minorities when he does it. But at the end of the day, he can now control who goes to school for what. And if you don't think minorities are going to be disproportionately impacted in that, I'll let you use your own critical thinking. Dion, do you think there should be a wealth tax?
Well, it depends. And I looked into that as well. Just let me bring up my notes here because I think yes. Okay. Now, the problem with a wealth tax, so there's pros and cons to everything in life, is that whatever local, state, and federal government agency or administration is in place, there is a large potential for waste, fraud, and spending. Here's the best example I have, the New York State Lottery. The New York State Lottery was designed to give a portion of its proceeds to the public educational system here in New York State. And on top of that, I confronted somebody at a meeting about this that actually said they work for New York State Lottery. I said, hey, I heard that you guys don't pay the public schools. She's like, no, sir, that's not true. Go to nylottery.gov and you see how books are open to the public and the proportion that we see in the public schools. Now it's incumbent upon them to use the money wisely. And I looked at my phone. I apologized to me. I shook his hand. I said, yes, sir, you're right. I'm just going off of hearsay, the usual motion that's always in rumors. But you're right. I did peruse your website. Your books are open. Those are your financials. And shame on public school again for what? Fraud, waste, and abuse of this money. And our kids suffer. So that's the disadvantage of a wealth tax. However, if a wealth tax is implemented properly, for example, the NFL or Madison Square Garden, and they pay property taxes, all that revenue could help out. But so far, when it comes to taxes, the most common theme of taxes is when it comes to wages, because that goes back into people's social security and things of that nature. But a wealth tax, there's pros and cons of it. And then they're also saying, like happens here in New York and California, the rich could just move out of the country if they wanted to because they're rich. And that would hurt the economy or the state that they live in with their businesses and such. Back to you, Skip.
Uh, Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. The red herring. First thing you do is attack the Board of Ed. So the red herring attack, just in case you guys don't remember, is when you attack, when you point someplace else instead of answering the question and ask about a wealth tax, and he attacks the Board of Education, where I graduated and went on to go to college and have done amazing things because of. So I guess, you know, when you go to private school your entire life, you don't understand that public school is good as well. And so you just attack, attack, attack. When at the end of the day, the Board of Ed in New York City is one of the best cities in the country as far as education. And
It pays the most, however, it does pay the most per child than any state in the country, but that does not equate into quality education. Just like our subway system, we pay a lot of money for the subway system. It should be the finest subway system in the world. And they increased our fare to $3 for a one way, $6 round trip, and it's still horrible. Money is not the answer. Remember that saying, Leo?
uh, no, I don't. But
Well, when it comes to education, anyway.
I mean, okay, maybe that's the case. But I would like to. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you're ready.
The schools in America vary by type of institution and evaluation metric. Generally, states like Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York lead the nation in public K to 12 metrics.
Whoa, we went
So
too fast. I couldn't read it.
I speak faster than you can read. That's private school education, ladies and gentlemen.
He's attacking me.
I'm taking
Jeez.
jokes. I'm making jokes. You got
Normally you leave it
masters.
up there for a minute so I can catch up because you're seeing it before it's shared. Okay, now it's here.
Top
Top
schools.
schools in America may what vary by type of institution evaluation metric. Generally, states like Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey lead the nation in public K-12 metrics. For higher education, the highest countries, the top ranked schools, blah blah blah. So, what is your point there, Leo? Is
New
that
York is one.
colleges or is that?
It said K through 12, Dion. You just read it, and now you're asking me what you read.
No, no,
This
no, 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 no. And you're asking the AI the wrong question. What states are top in education? That's
It
it.
says top schools in America, but it says generally states like Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York lead the nation in public K through 12. Are
Well,
you
wait, what was your
freaking
question? What was your
serious?
prompt to AI? What was your prompt to AI? I got to see this again, Leo, because I find that very hard to believe.
I'm not going through this a third time, Dion.
All
I'm
right,
not
fine.
doing it.
Next issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've got your answer. So you attacked um the Board of Ed rather than answering the question. Wealth tax. You said people are going to leave America. Do you think they're going to go to another country for real, Dion? Do you see Elon Musk packing up and go to China? Where is he going to go? South America?
Leo,
Where's he going to go, Dion?
we've already seen how many countries have exported their companies and jobs overseas, Leo. So anything is
What?
possible with these good
Where are they
people.
going to go, Dion? They're not
To
leaving
the
America.
islands, like Epstein, to the islands, like Epstein.
And just like MAGA, the Epstein Islands is funny to you. Supreme Court end of June rulings. Transgender seems to be the one thing everybody's talking about. Men and women's sports is all y'all want to talk about. Meanwhile, they're talking about ending birthright citizenship. The immigration thing was already decided. There are big cases being decided. So I'm not in the law field, but basically, from what I understand, the Supreme Court makes the majority of their rulings between October and June. June is now at its end. They don't have to end in June, but they try and wrap up around June. And so right now, the Supreme Court, I want to get the cases on the docket now. It's a couple, and I don't remember them all. I thought I would, and I don't. So birthright citizenship, transgender rights. Oh, the voting rights. Considering whether federal election law requires,
We can't see, Leo. We can't see.
I'm just reading it.
Oh, okay.
Considering whether federal election law requires mail-in ballots, so the mail-in ballots, the Second Amendment examining a Hawaii case, gun owners from bringing firearms onto private property without explicit permission. That's on the docket. Addressing presidential authority to remove heads of independent federal agencies. And, of course, immigration regarding the government's authority to limit asylum protection, which we just lost. So we know, so basically voting rights, birthright citizenship, and firing people all on the docket right now. Why are you shaking your head, Dion? I'm just saying what's on the docket. I'm
Okay, it's
literally
on the
stating what's
docket.
on the docket,
So it's
and you're
on the
shaking.
docket.
I,
I
I,
can't
I,
shake my head, Leo.
I just
There's
said what was
other
on.
pressing local issues, but yes, that's what's on the docket of the Supreme Court.
Well, I think that we need to pay attention to some of these issues. Mail-in ballots affect everyone at the local level. Birthright
California is the
citizenships.
prime example of that. So look what's going on in California's governor's race and mayor's race for everybody. Mail-in ballots are horrible, and they can be tainted and compromised and ballot harvest. So next one, Leo.
That is from within inside the bubble. The actuality of the case is the only person that tried to cheat in California was a sheriff who tried to take hundreds of thousands of ballots that were sent in to cheat for his race. And he, by the way, was a Republican. That's what really happened versus whatever nonsense you're spewing. But I digress. These are the cases that's on the docket. The one I'm paying most attention to is birthright citizenship, which, if so, Dion, let me ask you a question. If birthright citizenship is struck down, how will citizenship be determined? How does MAGA feel citizenship will be determined?
Well, new arrivals and not people that have been here already that are actually citizens. So actually we have to start once it's legalized going forward. However, we on this side have something called the United States Constitution that we read. And so far, that is looks like it's going to be called unconstitutional because the Supreme Court is designed to do what? Uphold the United States Constitution. 13, 14, 50 amendments were created for who? The slaves. But every person of color and beyond have tacked on to just that. And here we are. So that's why I wear this hat, everybody.
Great. So your understanding of policy and economics is about equal. All right, listen. I'm not an attorney, ladies and gentlemen, but here's how this works. If you have a law, it applies to everybody. If you take away that law, then that law is not there for anybody. So if they decide that this law is unconstitutional, then anybody that benefited from this law will no longer benefit from the law. So if blacks became citizens based on this law, if this law is unconstitutional, then blacks being citizens is unconstitutional. This is not rocket science.
Well, just like Joe Biden said, they're going to put you all back in chains.
Well, they've already taken away affirmative action, DEI, our right to vote as they're redistricting.
Abortion.
The ability to go to school is being struck down, as people are starting to find out this summer. It does. I don't think we're going to be back in change. I think it's going to be more along the lines of we spoke about this earlier this week. You said it's not slavery. It's not slavery. It's apartheid. What's the word, Dion? Indentured servants? Indentured servitude. I think they're trying to make us indentured servants. If we're not citizens, we don't have rights. If that's the law that made us citizens, and that right is gone, if you think MAGA is going to uphold black citizenship, then I got a word for you. It begins with an S and it ends with Tupid.
Oh God.
Ah, Epstein
5,000
files.
people still in the chat. So
All right, thank you
we
and
got
welcome
3 likes.
everybody.
Very good. So don't forget to hit that button.
3 likes. Woo, y'all are not loving this conversation tonight. Come on, guys, give us some love in here.
Okay, the heart finally appeared. So hit the heart icon and hit some emojis, guys.
Oh wow, there's some stuff going on in the chat. Let's see what's going on. King Crazy, your boy is back. Hold on, what's going on? I haven't been paying attention to the chat. My apologies, Crazy. We back though. Baby in the bill.
Oh,
I see you. I see you. The poop feels like money
thanks for the
laundering.
donation again, King Creasy. Thanks for the donation again.
Oh, I didn't even get to that. Yes, thank you. All right, thank you. All right, wealth tax should be
That's
required.
right. Hit
Hi,
those heart
Crazy.
emoji. Yes.
I
Hit the
disagree.
price.
Facts. Facts are not attacked. The DOE has no oversight. Facts are not
Thank you.
okay, but they're just my facts. Okay. Supreme Court ruling on lawful uses of right. That's one of the things that we're going to be debating about. Or if they're going to one topic at a time. Call Thomas. You're so emotional. I am just going through the topics on a list as it is listed. United States versus Hamani. Supreme Court win for black men. I don't know what that is. Now I got to look it up. I got to look this case up because oh man, Supreme Court versus oh man, Hamani. Let's see what he's talking about. Let's see. Because I know they just let an Asian person kill a black kid for no reason. 9-0
Oh boy.
unanimous.
Oh boy. That means Kajanji Brown Jackson agreed. So she got with the program.
Let me see what this case is that was just brought to our attention because I don't know anything about this.
Was it a temporary custody, a temporary protective status one?
Tell me when you
Let's
can
see.
see and I'll read it.
I can see yes. Go ahead.
In United States versus Hamani, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously in a 9-0 ruling that the federal law banning unlawful drug users from possessing firearms is
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead.
is an unconstitutional violation of the Second Amendment when applied to habitual marijuana users without proof of active, simultaneous intoxication, or dangerous. The landmark case established specific protections limits for gun owners. And he said this was for blacks. I would say that since the majority of gun owners in this country are white, legal gun owners in this country are white, because they tend to be in red states, that's not a win for blacks, because blacks tend to be in states, more in states, say Texas and Florida, with those two exceptions, the vast majority of black people are in blue states where the gun laws don't help us. So that win is actually for white people in red states. But that's just my interpretation and using my critical thinking skills. I would hope
Well,
not. That's not true. Great work,
well,
yo. Leo, you're trying to Jack Stephen A. Smith style. You're not him.
exactly. So if you let me add on to, I can explain the reasoning that King Creasy put that there and how it does help black people. And that's right, family. If you do pay for your question, we will play and answer it. So make those
Absolutely.
nations when you can with those questions and comments. So what King Creasy is referring to is he's a big 2A fan, which is the Second Amendment. So that also protects black people who have guns illegally because state laws and local laws when it comes to guns is unconstitutional by interpretation. New York is a perfect example of being in violation. Now, the state where he comes from, which is Alabama, where a lot of people do have open carry, even if they're black youth, this new ruling applies to them. So this will help out a lot of black youth that live in red states like Alabama, where he's from, if they are previously in violation for the stuff that you listed. So now this helps them beat certain cases in court. Get it, Leo?
The vast majority. Okay, so let's start with this. First,
There
Stephen
we
A.
go.
Smith. Stephen A. Smith is a conservative. So for me,
Oh, he's
for
not.
trying to is he Republican? He's certainly
That's
not
like, that's like
me.
saying Joe Rogan is conservative. He's not. Just because these people indirectly or directly had to support Donald Trump in the 2024 election doesn't make them white ring racist extremists. And the fact that people like you keep saying it just is a big part of the problem. They didn't
Yes,
move,
Dion.
they just stayed the way they are. But the climate and people that hate Trump, since they like Trump by default, they're crazy conservatives.
Thank you for the ad hominem attack. For those of y'all who don't know, ad hominem attack is instead of attacking the subject matter, you attack the person. So I'm talking about my comparison to Stephen A. Smith, and he brings up some retarded attack on me that doesn't make sense. That's fine. I am a little bit offended, but attack me. I guess that's easier than dealing with the facts. The fact is, Stephen A. Smith and I are completely different because Stephen A. Smith is actually somebody he would agree with instead of when he disagrees with me, he'd agree with Stephen A. Smith. So comparing me to Stephen A. Smith is illogical at best. Now, as far as where most black people live, let us see.
Well, yeah, how can I say? King Greasy is kind of correct with that. I say kind of loosely, and it says that a lot of black people are being displaced from California, from New York, and a lot of blue states like Illinois because of the affordability quote unquote crisis. They're moving to racist red states. But remember, from the Great Migration from the South to the North, most of us are down there anyway. Texas, Alabama, he's from Georgia, Florida, the Carolinas. So yes, they do have high percentage. But then again, New York is up there too with black population, but we're losing people to the south.
Okay,
Their
so
numbers are increasing.
right. Okay, so let's suppose that's right. I might be wrong. Most black people live in red states. They live in areas in those states that have loose gun laws, or they concentrated in areas where the gun laws are the same as blue states. Because if we live in areas where people do not have gun rights and the gun laws are the same as they are here, then that does not help black people. Now that I've addressed that, I was incorrect. Thank you, Crazy, for the correction, but my point is still valid as I just proved. I do appreciate the correction though, because I didn't know that, so now I know. Thank you,
Noise
black
after
people.
battle.
Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, as far as the rest of this, Epstein files have been ordered to be released
We
by a
touched
federal
upon that.
judge. You touched upon it, but I would like to dig a little deeper, if you don't mind. We only got two things left to talk about, right? Um, so let's just right to it. We did touch upon it. You said that you think that's right. I told you they're not going to release the files. I explained that already, right? You're right.
And I talked about the
So
July deadline coming up. I think it was July 7th.
it's not going to happen. They had a deadline in December. They're going to protect Trump. So they are. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. I'm looking into my crystal ball. I'm seeing the future. Trump will be protected. The Epstein files will not be released.
What about all the other evil people that's in the files? No, it's just about
That
Trump. So
well, they don't have the power to prevent the files from being released. The one that has the power to prevent that is Donald Trump. So they're going to prevent it because of Donald Trump, because he is the one with the power to stop it, not them. Right? I know you
uh,
can't walk your way out that one.
the court system is getting involved, Leo. So good luck to them.
The court system, yeah, all right. Yeah, yeah, because he's going to start following the courts, right? Hmm. Yeah, we got to get rid of this two-party system. Factory job losses, which, he promised in wars day one, store the economy day one, bring back factory jobs day one. Factory job losses are near COVID levels. People that have factory jobs continue to lose their jobs under Donald J. Trump. How do you feel the MAGA people that supported this man are going to respond at such enormous amounts of job loss in the very field he asserted that he was going to protect?
Well, a few of us are still going to have a wait and see approach. The midterm elections are coming, and we will let that be a reflection of the proletariat's review of the president. Okay, the indictment. That's what they say. Oh, the midterms have been an indictment on the president of the United States. So we're going to wait to see what those results are.
If he can cheat his way out of it, I doubt it.
Oh,
It's going
how's
to
he
be
cheating? Oh, I thought
well. I mean,
Maryland and House were clueless.
mail-in ballots, redistricting. Um, that's why he wants to pass this big bad bill. I mean, not sorry, he already passed that one. That's why he wants to pass this. What bill is it now? He's trying to push the one that restricts women voting.
Save America Act, my friend.
Yeah, restrict women voting. That's what I said.
No, it's not.
Do I have to do this every episode, Dion? I'll do it
That's
again
what
if you want me to do it
we
again. I can prove it again. Do I have to do it, Dion? No, I appreciate that.
Facts over
So,
feelings. Let's go. That's right.
huh. So, as I said, Trump didn't bring prices down. He's trying to commit voter suppression through for black people, for women, through um, overall, and prices are going to stay up. The war is going to continue, so prices are not going to go down. He violated the MOU, which restarted the war, and even though the MOU has not officially been called off, even you, Dion, has to admit that this war is in full swing. Am I accurate in this?
The battle continues, Leo, but I already give my opinion as to what I would like.
You said what you would like to say, but the war is going to continue. So prices is going to continue to go up because the Strait of Hormuz is once again closed. He said that he refuses to sign a bill that passed on a bipartisan basis through both the House and the Senate that will help with the housing crisis unless this SAVE Act was passed. What are your feelings on him attaching the Save America Act to the housing bill?
Well, that's a strategy that a lot of presidents, even the Congress, do when they put bills together in order to get their stuff achieved. Remember when the government shutdown was happening? The Democrats are very good at that as well, in order to use it as leverage to get their piece of legislation approved. That answers that.
I can't argue with that, Dion. So you're saying that you think it's a good thing that he's the man who's going to bring prices down on day one is not signing a bill to make housing more affordable because he wants to push through his voter suppression legislation.
That's not what it is. But
That's
yes, I
exactly what
agree
it
with that.
is.
No, it's not. It's to protect federal elections. Look at what's going on in California and Los Angeles with the mail-in ballots and the voter fraud, suspected voter fraud, and how long it takes to
Okay, hold up.
actually
Well, you said
count
two
the
different
vote.
things. You said voter fraud and suspected voter fraud. Who
Yeah.
suspects there's no voter fraud that's been proven. So now we're talking about suspected voter
Oh, here
fraud,
we
right?
go again. Gershon
Oh,
Wickler.
oh
All
my
you got to
God,
do
no,
is
he's using
check.
facts.
Just check. Do
Stop
your
using
job and
facts.
check.
I hate it when you use facts. So stop telling the truth. Can't use the truth. So, being that there's no actual voter fraud, no widespread voter fraud that's ever been proven in the history of this country, and there's accusations of voter fraud, who is making those accusations, Dion?
Both sides. You just accused Trump of stealing election. So plotting to steal election too.
I didn't accuse
So
him of voter fraud. I said that he's trying to suppress votes. I said
okay.
that, and the Voting Rights Act, striking down the Voting Rights Act directly does. Can we at least agree that he's suppressing votes by
No,
redistricting? So we can't.
no,
So, well, I understand you don't comprehend, or you don't want to
no.
comprehend. I think you really don't get it. That's the weird part. I don't think that you're pretending. I think you really
I
don't get it.
completely understand, Leo, how it works. It's just that you put too much emotion in it. And just like the person said in the chat, I put the facts over the feelings. So thank you guys for those comments. And we're still at 5K strong.
Okay. So you think I'm not using facts? Let me try this again because, wow, I'm the one not using facts. You make up stuff and I use facts, Dion. I am stating
Hey,
actual facts.
all this,
I,
all these accusations and name calling and all these wonderful things, not me. I just say, is this? Take it or leave it. This is my opinion, and
I,
that's it.
well, you use a bunch of ad hominem attacks, which is
Here we
actually
go.
which is directly attacking me. That's all I said was you directly attacked me. And here we go is your response, right? So I actually read from the bills when you disagree. For instance, the second section of the Voting Rights Act, which was struck down, let us that you said is not voter suppression, and you said I'm being emotional. Okay, maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
Let's
All
see.
right, what we got here? Okay,
Yes,
let's see.
facts, facts, facts. We love facts. Section 2 of the Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965 is a permanent nationwide ban on voting practices, procedures, or election laws that discriminate on the basis of race, color, or membership in a protected language minority group. It is the primary legal tool used to fight voter suppression and minority vote dilution. And the courts, Donald Trump's courts, have struck down the section of the Voting Rights Act that prevents voter suppression. So whether you agree that it's voter suppression or not, it is the very definition of voter suppression, Dion.
No good.
And and maybe I'm getting emotional and you're using facts, and maybe these are facts are not facts in MAGA world, but at the end of the day, this is voter suppression. Full stop. And with the whoa, Save America Act, is this another example of voter suppression? By the way, your internet is holding up pretty good. We was worried because you're out of town, but seems to be holding up pretty stably. So it requires voters to present documentary proof of U.S. citizenship, such as a passport or birth certificate, to register to vote in federal elections. It enforces nationwide voter identification and mandates for both in-person and absentee mail voting. Why these two things are important? That means your voter ID has to match your proof of citizenship. If you're married and you're a woman, your last name changes, then your ID doesn't match your birth certificate because your birth certificate holds your maiden name. So let's take everything else off the table, Dion. If someone comes up to you and shows you their driver's license, and it says Jane Smith on her driver's license, and she shows you her birth certificate, and it says Jane Doe on her birth certificate, does that match?
No.
Are you saying that Jane Smith is Jane Doe?
From the documents, no.
So then, according to this Voters Registration Act, this Save America Act, these documents don't match. She can't vote.
That's not true, but okay.
That is true, Dion. That's absolutely true. Explain where it's wrong, Dion.
It's wrong because people overwhelmingly support this piece of legislation
Uh,
across
uh,
the board. And on top of that, it hasn't been implemented yet. And so you see, there's going to be worries around this, my friend. We're not worried at all.
this, my friends, is once again an ad hoc fallacy. For those of you who wasn't here
Yep.
earlier, an ad hoc fallacy occurs when someone invents an unsupported, usually unprovable excuse on the spot to salvage their original argument from being disproven. Why am I saying this is ad hoc? You're literally just making something up. Oh, it hasn't happened yet. We're saying this is what he's trying to push through. And then you said that if Jane Smith has a document that says she's Jane Smith, and then she's asked to provide her proof of citizenship, but the proof of citizenship says Jane Doe, then that's not her proof. It's not Jane Smith's proof of citizenship. So because it's not Jane Smith's proof of citizenship, Jane Smith can't vote because her maiden name doesn't match. And this is what this voter suppression law does. Thank you, Dion. I'm glad you made me break this down and explain it to the public in a way that I'd never done before and that I can utilize from now on. I appreciate
You're
that. Thank
reaching,
you.
Leo. That's why I'm making this gesture. You're reaching. That's why I'm
How
making
am I
this gesture.
reaching?
You're reaching.
How is it that you're doing
That's something
gestures?
so minute. That's something so minute that American citizens on large totally disagree, and they fully support the Save America Act. So we're at 2 hours now.
Well, that might be in your perspective because that's what Donald Trump says. So whatever Donald Trump says, you're going
CNN
to
says
follow.
that, Neil, not me. CNN
Who?
said that, not me. CNN said that. Legacy Media said that.
Well, okay.
It's
Well,
not hard to get ID, so
it's not hard to get an ID, but if your ID doesn't match, then then you can't vote. And even you just said if you was at the voting poll and they showed you them two documents, you wouldn't let them vote. That's what you just said. So if you wouldn't let them and I wouldn't let them, yo, I don't know that I don't know that's your birth certificate. Like, yo, you're mating here it says with your picture that you're Lauren Smith, but you're giving me a proof of citizenship that says Lauren Jane or Lauren Doe. It doesn't. I don't know that that's your birth. You could be using somebody else's birth certificate. There's no way I'm gonna let you win. I'd be crazy to let you win because you legitimately could be using somebody else's birth certificate with your first name. It doesn't match. This is not rocket
unfortunately,
science.
the majority of this country agrees with me and doesn't believe people like you. So
It's not whether you believe it. These are the facts. These are the facts. This is legitimately what it is. Even
well, it
you
could be the
just
fact. It could be the fact, but people still support this piece of legislation, Leo. So election
that's
integrity.
what that's why it can't get through Congress on either the Republican or the Democrat side. That's why even the Republicans won't pass this bill because the
Because
majority
both
will.
sides cheat, Leo. I'll admit, both sides do cheat and steal elections. How do I know? I'm a consultant, former candidate, and going through the processes myself and witness to happen to others. So
Well, Dion, I'm not going to say that you may not understand everything that you're looking at. I mean, you do look at the economy, you do look at processes. It's just like this, Dion. You just said you wouldn't let that person vote. And we can both agree that you should not let that person vote if their ID doesn't match their proof of citizenship, because that would be the route to election fraud. So, what this suppression bill does is makes it impossible. I guess you can try and get a passport in time if the bill passes. How long does it take to get a passport, Dion? If this bill passes, people won't be able to get their passport in time, correct?
those scare tactics don't work, Leo.
I
You
asked
said
that's a
before.
question. You're not answering the question.
It doesn't matter, Leo, because
It
the
does matter,
legislation is
Dion.
so
Answer the
liberal.
question.
It doesn't matter. Your passport takes maybe 2 to 3 months. Fine. In the meantime, you can always match your signature. You can always bring up another piece of ID, just
Not
like the
according.
DMV.
No,
Everybody goes to the
Dion.
Department of Motor
No,
Vehicles with all
Dion.
kinds of stuff.
You
Nice
have to
try.
have proof. You have to have proof of citizenship, which means a passport or birth certificate. So, in other words, if you
You
don't
don't
have a
know that.
passport now and you're a married woman, you cannot get your documentation proving your citizenship
That
in
scare
time.
tactic doesn't work, Leo.
It's not a scare tactic. This is the fact. Yo, these are the facts that you yourself are saying are true, and then saying it's a scare tactic afterwards. You're agreeing with it. You're saying it's true, and then being like, "No, this is a scare tactic."
Unfortunately, people don't believe what you're saying, Leo, but you can keep trying, though.
You're saying it too. You're saying it. You're agreeing with everything I'm saying, and then you're saying, "Oh, it's just a scare tactic," even though you're saying it. Well, if you're enjoying the content, we'll be back this week, next week, and the week after, every week, Sunday, 9 p.m. Click that like button, show some love, give us some love. The algorithm definitely likes that. Share the content. We come in here, we do this, we go back and forth. Crazy. You be looking out for us. Thank you. Sincerely from the heart. Everybody else, we enjoy you. Thank you for coming to the chat. 5,000 people. I hope y'all like what you see. Dion, you got anything?
This is why we are the media, and now so are you. So make sure you make the algorithm pay attention to all of us by sharing our content and adding your own.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. This is Leon Dion signing out.